welcome to this conference, which, as Father Jason mentioned, this is an initial effort on the part of the Archdiocese to address this urgent and pressing concern under the rubric of mental health. And we thank the office for the promotion of the new evangelization, and all the collaborators in the parishes, in the schools, and the ministries for coming to this conference. I am not an expert in mental health. No, I'm not even sure where I belong. If some criteria are used, and I'm not sure what criteria are being used right now when it comes to so-called mental health, no, I don't know where I would fall. So please do not expect in this keynote address clear directions. In fact, I would consider this simply a sharing of things that I have read. And also, I will not hide some of the critical questions that people are raising regarding mental health, so that we could also address these items. For the first part, I would just like to point to a research published by Dr. Lorelei Melanie Elma, a lecturer at the UPPGH, and who holds a clinic also at UPPGH, so you may want to see her if there is a need. The third point po is a critique of the World Health Organization. Ano po ito eh? A group of experts. This is the Committee on Ethical Issues of the European Psychiatric Association. So, the material that I will use was formulated by a psychiatrist from Italy, from Germany, from Berlin, from Denmark, from the United Kingdom, and from Switzerland. They reviewed the World Health Organization fact sheet that I just mentioned to you. And they said, we want to raise several concerns. Kasi raw, when you look at the World Health Organization depiction of mental health, it focuses on well-being. Mental health is almost associated with well-being. Well-being. And they are asking the question, there might be potential misunderstandings when mental health is identified only with positive feelings and positive functioning as keys to mental health. Baka the moment na malungkot lang ako, ay, oh, may diferensya na. Ano? Kasi nabobombard ka ng ano na ang ano is well-being, positive ano. Kaya you don't have any more, sabi nila, you don't have any more tolerance for even very normal feelings of discomfort, anger, or what, no? Kasi nasabi nila yan, no? Psychiatrist din naman itong nagkikritik doon sa World Health. No? Sabi nila, and I quote, most people would consider as mentally unhealthy. Sabi nila, bawa kung well-being lang, have you seen the movie Schindler's List? Oh, yung halimbawa, yung ano doon, yung military person doon, no? Parang ano siya, kontento eh. Kasi may poder, meron siyang income, well-being, and he orders the killing of people. Is that mental health? Ano? He experiences well-being. If you put mental health only on the level of well-being, many people who commit crimes exhibit well-being daw. Mm-hmm. So, so, paano ba yun? No? Sabi nila, many ordinary people, many of us who are not experts, we will consider as mentally unhealthy. No? An individual experiencing a state of well-being, meron pa nga, di ba, nakikinig pa nga ng classical music habang nag-order ng pagpatay. No? That person enjoys a state of well-being while killing several persons during a war action. Now, if you strictly follow yung definition na mental health is associated with well-being, then ano ito, yung taong yun, sabi natin, okay lang yun. May sinasabi, even us would say, no, mukhang hindi. But we, based on experience, would regard as healthy a person who might feel desperate after being fired from his or her job. Who will not feel desperate after losing a job? Now, yung bang taong yun, sasabihin mo, sige, ano ka niyan? Sige, makaklasify ka as ano? Balik ka na lang sa well-being, nawalan ka lang naman ng trabaho eh. So this group of European psychiatrists are, in a way, why is the definition of well-being, state mental health proposed by the World Health Organization, two focused on that, well-being. Sabi nila, people in good mental health are often sad, unwell, angry, or unhappy. And this is part of a fully lived life for a human being. I think they're also hinting at this. If we present, especially to the young, the goal of a healthy life as well-being, the moment they experience frustration, then they fall into the trap of better end my life. So sinasabi nila, can a good life and a good mental health situation be open to those experiences that ordinary human beings undergo? Sometimes you are unwell, sometimes you are angry, and there are causes for your desperation, no? So the way they said, yun daw World Health Organization perspective is influenced by hedonistic traditions. Meaning yung puro self-fulfillment, well-being, and feeling good. No? And it champions positive emotions and excellence in functioning respectively. Paano na yung may mga like, how about the adolescents who are shy, somehow shy? Will they be classified as suffering from dito lang, ang dami sa inyong shy. Dito sa front row, ang daming shy. So ano na? Ano na ba sila? Yun ang tinatanong nito. Ayan. Those who fight against perceived injustice and inequalities can be discouraged. When you do not see a change in society. Now that discouragement, will we say that it is a threat to your mental health? The migrants and the minorities experiencing rejection and discrimination, sometimes they are the strongest persons that we can find. The situation could pose a threat, but we find also some of the strongest persons among them. Pati nga physically di ba ho, pisan yung pagka may mga bisita tayo galing sa mga countries na masyadong malilinis, unang araw pa lang, pag uminom ng tubig, parang tayo pag pumunta tayo sa bansa nila, sobrang linis, doon tayo nagkakasakit. Saan ako nagkaroon ng hika? Sa Amerika, nung nag-aral ako doon. Mahina ba ako? Hindi pala, malakas kasi sanay ako sa pollution. Kapag nalagay ako doon sa nila ng well-being, doon ako nagkakasakit. Nalilito na rin ho ako talaga. Pero it's good to have something like this among peers, parang peer discussion. You have the World Health Organization. You have this group from the ethical of Europe. Kaya they propose naman their own description of mental health. Sabi po nila, medyo nuanced and mayaman, pero siguro it has to be unpacked also by experts. Sabi nila, mental health is a dynamic state of internal equilibrium. So hindi lang yung basta well-being, positive feelings, but internal equilibrium, which enables individuals to use their abilities in harmony with values of society. And what are the important components of mental health as a dynamic state of internal equilibrium based on values? Ito po yung kanilang mga components. Basic cognitive and social skills. Basic. So hindi naman kailangan may doctorate ka, hindi naman kailangan may no, yung basic cognitive and social skills. Ability to recognize, express, and modulate one's own emotions. Ganda. Recognize, express, and modulate one's own emotions. Another component is the capacity to empathize with others. Makidama sa kapwa. The other is flexibility. Flexibility and ability to cope with adverse life events. Pag may unforeseen merong ganoong freedom, interior freedom called flexibility. Hindi na i-stuck na naku, hindi namin magagawa yung plano namin. Yan. Sa ating mga yung pag-improvise, diyan nakikita ko, diyan tayo magaling eh. Kaya lang minsan puro improvise naman. Pero sa ibang kultura, hindi sila marunong maging flexible kapag nasira yung kanilang plano, hindi na umaandar yung PowerPoint, cancel na yung talk. Bakit? Pag wala yung mikropono, hindi na makasalita. Ba't di ba kayo tinuruan mag-project? Pag walang mikropono, meron ka. Andyan. Gamitin mong paghinga mo, diaphragm mo. Mag-improvise ka. Ayan. Kasama yun sa mental health. Yung flexibility na ganoon. Tapos sabi to, the capacity to function in social roles. Harmonious relationship between body and mind. Yan. Those are some of the components that they, and they avoided the use of the terminology of well-being. Sa kanila, sabi nila, itong kanilang is based on experience, more realistic, rather than the elusive parang bird of paradise na well-being, a well-packaged mind and society, which they say might cause even more frustration and mental health difficulties. So they took daw yung based on their research, they took what life is and how do you develop internal equilibrium to face them. Of course, I'm sure the study is much more complex than what I am giving to you or what I am able to cull from the few pages that I have. And I want to go to the conclusion of their study. Sabi po nila, the definition of mental health that they have arrived at is aimed to overcome perspectives based on ideal norms or hedonic, eudaimonic theoretical traditions. So not ideal norms, but real. Where are people at? Ano ang reality? At doon sa real na yon, tignan natin ano ang mga internal resources that could be developed for a proper mental health response. And they chose an inclusive approach, as free as possible of restrictive and culture-bound statements. Kasi sabi nila, mukhang yung World Health Organization depiction of mental health ay mukhang North Atlantic North Atlantic kaya inaano nila sana yung culture may I share this kasi matagal din akong rector ng seminary. There was one seminarian who approached me after a module that they had to go. Sabi sa akin, Father, I want to say goodbye. I will leave the seminary. Why? Yeah. Well, it came up in the module that I am not fit to become a priest. Why? Ano yun? Because I am shy and soft-spoken. The supervisor told me that. Tapos may pinakitang tests, no? And I realized that the test was the test that is being used in the States to determine yung mga who could be yung mga business leaders. So they are looking for yung medyo aggressiveness, yung no? And then, dahil doon sa tool na yun, sinasabihan na, ay, hindi ka magiging mabuting pare because you are shy or ano. Sabi ko, but we need more shy priests. Ang dami-dami na nga someone like you could help. Could help. Change the picture and And then I realized, baka yung module na yon ang nagamit sa lahat sa amin before. Kaya I appealed nga noon, may kaibigan ako sa UP, can you formulate a culture-friendly, yung tool for, that will integrate, for example, yung, yung hiya, o yung ganoon. Kasi, if you use those tools, ang baba ng niya. No? And then, umabot na doon sa, I must leave the seminary. Sabi ko, no, you won't. Ngayon, he's doing very well. He's doing very well as a priest. No? And he knows naman when to open his mouth, he knows when to assert himself, no? Pero bakit lahat ng pari kailangan maingay at yan. Yun hong example na yun wala dito sa paper ng ng Europe. So sabi nila dito, so they want a description. Actually, it's not a definition, but a description that is less restrictive, more inclusive, meaning inclusive of other cultures, and ito, as close as possible to human life experience, which is sometimes joyful and at other times sad or disgusting or frightening. Sometimes satisfactory and at other times challenging or unsatisfactory. So parang sinasabi nila, World Health Organization, you operated from an ideal situation. How about determining mental health from the life experiences of people? And we will discover very healthy people who have gone through less ideal situations. Yun ang ano ho nila. Ay, naku. Nakikita nyo bang hirap na hirap po ako? Kasi hindi ako psychiatrist. Pero Keynote so wala naman akong I have to do research. Nung binabasa ko nga, ba't ba ganito ang mga binabasa ko? Mag-psychiatry na nga ako, no? Kaya naman ako natutuwa at tumatanggap ng ganitong mga talks. Actually, inutusan ho ako ni Father Jason Kasi it's an opportunity for me to learn. Kung hindi ko tinanggap itong na ito, hindi naman ako magre-research ng ganito, no? Wow, ganito pala, meron din palang debate, no? Sa And even if the contexts are the same, no, yung sinasabi nilang socio-economic poverty, ano gano'n, no? Ang mga possible threats. Pero yung approach nila ay magkaiba. Yung isa is parang create an ideal situation. Dito sa isa, doon sa kanilang context, how do you develop, no, the inner equilibrium? Kasi ang ano nga doon sa isa sa World Health, parang kailan nga ba makakadarating yung ideal situation, ano ho? Kailan ba? Baka nga hindi naman dumating yun. Hindi na rin darating ang mental health. Parang ano nila is, even in the broken situation, how you do not resign to the fact na dahil broken yung situation, parang deterministic na. Like, just because the family had problems, ay sigurado magkakaroon yan ng mental deterministic na. Yun ang parang nakikita kong inaano nila dito, no? How do you draw from them the inner strength to Ito naman pong last portion ko. So yung una I gave a bit from the Philippine setting regarding from PGH about yung sa suicide, no, na tumataas nga. At least isang ano pa lang yun, na PGH pa lang yan. Ewan ko sa iba pang mga no. And then informally nga, many schools are reporting, mga ganyan, ano ho. And then, kung hindi man yung suicide in terms of ingesting something or killing, sometimes may mga behaviors na mukhang death wish na rin, yung parang self-destructive na in a process, no? Hindi yung biglaan, no? Ganyan. I see some religious sisters, priests here, and some young, I know this is being recorded, but so I won't mention the name. I was invited to preach a retreat to priests abroad, no, in one diocese in Europe, and at the end of the retreat, they told me, in the past 7 years, 16 priests committed suicide in that diocese. And parang ako, wow. I felt ambivalent, no? One part of me said, sana sinabi before the retreat. But another part of me said, mabuti ngayon ko na lang nalaman, kasi I would not know how to to deal with. No wonder, no. See, the 5 days I was with them, and then the bishop was inisip ko, ano ba siya, pious na lang, quiet, very no. When the information reached me, wow. I'm sure he was prayerful. Who would not become prayerful, no? If you start losing priests, yun ang losing priest nga, they asked for to be dispensed from priesthood, before you could sign the documents, na kahit legal na, no, nabigyan na, you anguish over it, no? And then to discover, your collaborators, no, hanging there, ganyan, no? And one bishop in another country who has had an experience of a priest committing suicide, sabi niya, I did not know the depths of darkness that he was undergoing, no? Kasi that priest was accused of abuse, but parang he felt that the accusation was equivalent to a judgment. No. And he just killed himself. So, ang daming ano, no? Tapos yung nangyari sa ano, sa Southern California, do sa yung ano, students bar, meron palang isang Phil-Am girl who was killed, no? Mass shooting. And then the ex 28 years old, no? Yung the gunman, a retired Marine who must have seen a lot of violence, no? War and gano'n, no? In Afghanistan, no? Siguro, yeah, no? He sabi nila, he also killed himself, eh. No? But I don't know, no? Did he act out again that war that was his frustration and then killed himself, no? Yeah. When I was a student priest, the height of my research and writing of the dissertation, I thought I better reconnect to ordinary life and the mess of life as I write my dissertation. Otherwise, I would, I might float into thin air. So I did volunteer work for sa hospice run by the Missionaries of Charity of Mother Teresa in Washington, D.C. So they took care of homeless people, the elderly especially, and those dying of AIDS that have been disowned by their families. Wow. It was not easy also. No? But we had one resident who was given parang a day off kasi he asked permission to visit his family. Since he was still able to walk, pinayagan siya kasi they reached a point where they could not move anymore. They could not even close their mouth. No, you have to assist them. So while he could still walk, he was allowed to go. Then he came back, very joyful. Sabi namin, wow, parang na-rejuvenate siya. No? And then when we talked with him, ako pa naman, that day I was the one in charge. Kasi we rotated. I was the one in charge of him. His meals, his bath, etc. I go, oh, you look very happy. Yeah. How was your visit with your family? I did not go to my family. She said, oh, but you told Mother Superior that you will visit your family. I went around and I had sex with so many people who did not know that I am HIV infected. I said, what? I said, if I die, I don't want to die alone. Let others die too. So, it's, and you, so this area that we are handling is really mysterious, no? Because when you're talking about the mind, what is that? What is the mind? Huh? When you talk of the hand, you are able to identify the mind. And healing the mind, taking care of the mind, the health of the mind. What is the mind? So at this point, hopefully briefly, I would turn now to, again, the study made by some practitioners in the mental health issue, but are also theologians. the Christian understanding, or what resources do we have in Christianity for understanding mental health? So we have listened already to some writings of doctors and psychiatrists. How about yung ating Christian resources? No? You know, the language of, and here I'm using the study. This is part of a thick book. This is from Ben Ryan, Christianity and Mental Health, Theology, Activities, and Potential, 2017, so rather recent. No po. From the United Kingdom, sana one day may ano rin from the Philippines, published by OPNE, Archdiocese of Manila. Ayan. Teka, balik muna ako sa aking mental focus. Di naman masamang mangarap, ano? Diba? Sabi po nila, the language of mental health as it is used right now is heavily medical. Medical talaga. And there are very few directly applicable biblical passages. In fact, even the terminology mental health is a relatively recent invention, according to them. No? But even within the medical world, the idea of the mind as an organ or something which can be treated scientifically is in relative infancy. Is the mind an organ? Like the hand, like the liver, like the... no. So is the brain synonymous to the mind? When you're talking of the mind, are you talking about the brain? Ano ba? No. Parang lahat tayo confused. But it's a good question. No? It's and psychiatry is fast changing also. It's evolving. No? So we need to, as Christians, we need to ask ourselves, no, how can we find a language, a Christian language about the experiences of people who are undergoing some what we call mental crisis, that will make sense to them, no, in Christian terms. And then his other challenge is there a way for the church to conceive of mental health within a theological framework? Kasi the medical world, psychology, psychiatry, they're no, even the social sciences, no, tackling violence and unemployment, all of those, they are setting up a framework, no, for understanding mental health concerns. But how about a theological framework inspired by Christian sources? Now, this author went through the Bible, very parang tidbits, no? Sabi niya, when you go to the Bible, please do not have very high expectations na that you will find clear-cut mental health diagnosis, no, in yung using our contemporary modern norms, kasi syempre naman written thousands of years ago, so their approach was colored by the language and the culture, the perspectives of the time. No? And so sabi niya, when we refer to the Bible, please be culturally and historically sensitive. No? Don't just parang make a correspondence and then we use biblical terms nga, but you say, you are mad. In Daniel 4, Nebuchadnezzar is described as having gone mad. No, biblical term yun. But will you use it now? No? Yung ganyan. Or 1 Samuel, Saul, who was plotting against David, he was described as having an evil spirit. An evil spirit has come upon him, which causes him to irrationally despise David. Yan. So if your teacher gets angry at you, say, according to the Bible, sir or ma'am, you are possessed. An evil spirit. How dare you say that? Biblical po ito, biblical. Ayan, no? So, tinyo, tumatawa kayo. No, say, talaga yung language, ano po, no? So, and then you also have a whole worldview where sickness, not just what we call now mental sickness, is often related to sin. No? To sin, the stain in the heart or the soul, and even demonic possession. And in the New Testament, demonic possessions are now being employed by some people, as example of mental illness during the time of Christ. So again, the caution. But this study again proposes something. Sabi nila, can we not have an approach where we go to the experience of the one suffering instead of the perspective of the viewer, the observer, looking at someone who seems to be mad or possessed? How about going to the experience of the one who suffers? And the Psalms, the Psalms have a lot of that. People who are suffering themselves. And the example that he gave is Psalm 88. Sabi niya, even in our contemporary time, many people could pray this psalm and say, it is me talking here. Let me read Psalm 88, verses 6 to 9. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily on me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves. You have taken from me my closest friends and have made me repulsive to them. I am confined and cannot escape. My eyes are dim with grief. From my youth I have suffered and been close to death. I have borne your terrors and I am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long they surround me like a flood. Darkness is my closest friend. Very experiential. And they say, this psalm will speak of the experience of so many people. And they can own the words of this psalm. And there are other psalms. And so, just like the critique of the European psychiatrists, this theologian, psychologist is saying, for our search, in our search for Christian resources, we find in the Bible many portions that express the anguish of people who suffer. Can we start with that rather than parang prescriptive? Can we go to the experience, especially in the Psalms, of those who have suffered? And then we see that there is a lot there. So about biblical language, yun ang inaano niya, no? Let us develop an authentic Christian language of mental health from the perspective of those who suffer. And sabi niya, where many Christian resources currently focus on raising awareness on different mental health issues, there is very little that is being done in terms of helping suffering people find a biblical language to verbalize their own experiences. So inaano niya ito, as we pursue, and we should pursue, the medical, psychiatric, social, political, sabi niya, ang dami na doon, pero parang naiiwanan ang simbahan. We have not been able to offer biblical resources to those who are suffering. Baka naman meron, hindi lang natin alam. No? I know some young people, meron silang mga yung mga biblical text that they share, no, if you are sad, no, why don't you say this, no, if you are depressed, why don't you say that, no, and this author is saying maybe we could do more in this area, no po. The other area is in what he calls Christian anthropology and mental health. When we go to the Bible, no po, with the Judeo-Christian tradition, Christianity has a distinctive focus on human beings as body and soul. And so even St. Paul encourages Christians to glorify God with their bodies. And in the incarnation, God assumed a bodily existence, taking on suffering and even death. And there has been, thanks to God, a significant focus on the body, the value of the body, the physical, as well as the spiritual element of human existence. Ito ngayon ang sabi niya, how come, by contrast, there is comparatively little on the place of the mind in anthropology, in Christian anthropology? Parang na-develop yung body and spirit, pero yung mind. But we have to ask the question, but does the Bible talk about the mind? Alam nyo, in the Old Testament, the term used is the heart. It is in the heart that thoughts emanate, from the heart that thoughts emanate. It is in the heart that understanding happens. It is in the heart that discernment happens. It is in the heart that that decisions are made. No? So ang kanyang proposal is, maybe we could go back to that integrated approach of the Bible, where the mind and the heart are really one. Rather than focusing on the mind parang as a separate faculty, no? Kasi totoo rin naman talaga, 'di ba, sa tunay na buhay, ewan ko kayo, ako malimit kung ganun no? Parang you think better with your heart than with your brain. I know with the West, sabi na hindi, no? Separate that, no? No, kaya kita nyo, dapat cold, ganyan, objective, mga ganyan. No? No. Ako talaga, yung mga, kaya tignan nyo ngayon, I'm using brain, na parang walang effect. Pero pag, if I start talking with, thinking with the heart, no, parang may pati ikaw when you are in na homily, no, alam mo kapag yung puro lang yung heady, pero kapag ano ka yung unified, no, na your body, your emotions, your ano are all working together to produce a thought, no, ganyan, or to discover the thought that is already there, na parang mas ano no? Kaya sabi niya baka ang Christian approach, preliminary ano niya ito is to have an integrated view that demands a fuller appreciation of the mind. But the mind, no, which was understood in the Bible as also the heart. Aha. So just as Christians are called to make their bodies temple of the Spirit, so we should also have a spirituality of taking care of the mind, no, the mind as integrated in the whole of human existence that involves emotions, decisions, understanding, and discernment. And finally, no po, sabi niya, part of Christian anthropology is relationship, relationality. And I've been stressing this lately in my talks, no, and I'm very happy to see it here. The recovery of person. No? This is our response to individualism. In the Trinity, we don't have three individuals. We have three persons. An individual finds his or her identity in isolation from the others, whereas a person finds who she is and who he is in relationship. And this is sabi niya, part of the wealth of the Christian tradition, the understanding of the person as, and part of mental health is growing in personhood in relationship. And in fact, sabi nga nila, some of the cases, no, of mental health issues are related to the breakdown, no, in relationships, isolation, etc. No. And breakdown in relationships will further strain the capacity of someone to relate. So sabi niya, can we unpack that beautiful Christian resource of personhood, relationship, in order to promote mental health? And then some challenges for him. Limbawa, one is responsibility. No? Kasi di ba pag sinabi raw na kapag may mental health issues, yung responsibility na nadidiminish. Sabi raw, psychosis impairs thoughts, emotions, no, and also the capacity to make a good decision. So ang isang niya so paano, what will happen to responsibility? How do we address yung the human responsibility of people who are undergoing healing, no, in their mental health concerns? The other question is redemption. Our faith, Christian faith, is a faith of redemption. No? Ngayon, no? Even in cultures, kapag ka medyo may mental health concern, no? Beyond redemption. Yeah. Tapos, reconciliation, sabi niya dito. How there are several aspects of reconciliation worth considering. The importance of being accepted as a mental health sufferer. Also, so the how do we prepare the community to accept as one of them, no, people who are undergoing mental health crisis, rather than isolating them with a stigma and then further worsening their mental health concerns. How do we help people get integrated into society, either while they are suffering or after recovery? No? Sabi nga niya, I visited a prison for young people in Italy, and the warden told me they're in the process of phasing out the prison para raw matuto yung community to take care of people with problems. Don't pass it on to an institution. Now, let the community be an accepting community and also a reconciling and redemptive community. Yung preparation for the community, mahalaga yan. Kasi yung community rin mismo minsan ang nagdi-discriminate. Minsan tinatago nga na may ganitong problema, ganyan. So even the family, that will be a very big jump in terms of reconciling, redeeming, and accepting people who have not only experienced troubles in their minds, hearts, and have committed crimes, but also people who have been stigmatized as threats to society. How could society, especially the Christian community, integrate? And so siguro mamaya, with Father Tony Labiao sharing yung mga community efforts. I don't know kung meron makakapag-share din mamaya with Father Tony yung sa Sanlakbay, community effort to integrate and to save yung mga na sumusurrender na drug addicts. Of course, meron din namang dangers. And I want to end there. I want to end here. So there is a medical, psychiatric concern. But this last portion is a challenge to us. How are we already going deep into the Christian resources for understanding mental health issues, and also what we as Christian communities could do? Of course, supporting the sciences, the social, economic responses, but on our side, how about our biblical, theological, anthropological vision? Nagagamit ba yun sa ating approach? At meron ba tayo nakukuhang resources for creative responses to that? Okay. So introduction lang po ito, sa maghapon. Hindi introduction sa talk ko. Mahaba na to. And so please bear these points in mind, and then the other people who would share, coming from their expertise and their experience, I'm sure will be able to shed light on some of the things that I have shared. Actually, hindi akin to. I've shared from some people who have addressed this question. So maraming salamat po ulit sa inyo, and please enjoy the day.